Hello and welcome to Mel Make Stuff. My name is Melissa and this video is going to be a lot of project updates and also an announcement of my new Patreon. The type of content that you can expect to see on my Patreon will be similar to what you're familiar with here, but a little more informal, a little more behind the scenes, and more vlog style content. I've done vlogs on this channel in the past and it seems like people have enjoyed them and I enjoy making them. So if you are to go to the link below and sign up now for my Patreon, you will see 2 videos already there for you. And then every subsequent month, there will be 2 additional videos. The first one is a spend a day with me type video. So a non-work day, we go around and I show you some of my current projects, go on a little hike and sort of get you acclimated to the scene of my life outside of this little area. I take you out and show you my studio that is being renovated right now. And so it's in quite a state and I show a little bit of that. And then the second video was sort of a surprise, bring you along with me for a work trip that I took. How to explain this in the shortest possible way. So I have 2 jobs right now. One of them is working in a machine shop where we make brass instrument mouthpieces. So, you know, the little piece that goes on your face goes in the trumpet or French horn or trombone, etc. So there's a machine shop here on this island making these mouthpieces, and I got a job there basically as soon as I came out. And part of the reason that I was able to do that is because I'm also a professional French horn player. So extremely long story short, my schooling and my education is in French horn performance, and I was a professional musician for some years and then have been doing other things for like the last 10 plus years. And so since I moved out here to Gabriola, there are tons of opportunities to play professionally and I've been getting called. So I guess there aren't too many French horn players out here and that's good for me. So I had gotten called to play with the Naden band, which is the professional Navy band down in Victoria. They were doing a tour, like a week and a half long tour of a variety of schools, like doing some school shows, and then also playing a couple of gala concerts. So I went down to Victoria and we toured Whistler and Vancouver. So the second vlog that's up is I took you along on that tour with me. And so I have some knitting with me that I show along the way. And in Vancouver, I also go to a yarn shop and a fabric shop. So there's like a variety of content in that one. So there's not like any playing or anything like that. Like playing, I don't have footage of the concerts because I was trying to be very professional. You know, I'm new here, so I didn't want to have my phone out and that type of thing. It's very unprofessional at a gig, you know, but I tried to show as much as I could of what the trip was like. So those are the 2 videos up right now. And I think you can expect more vlog content and more, you know, what's going on up here as I'm planning projects. That will be the type of stuff that's on the Patreon. I'm planning to continue releasing YouTube videos as I've been doing the last couple months, you know, once or twice a month here as I'm able to on YouTube. So there will still be free content here. And if you prefer to just be a YouTube viewer, that is absolutely fine and wonderful. It's come to my attention that not everyone realizes that you can subscribe to channels on YouTube for free. So only around 50% of the people who watch my videos are subscribers, which actually I think is pretty good for YouTube, but half of the people are not subscribed. And I was talking to somebody recently who said that she didn't realize that subscribing was free. So I figured I would just mention it here. If you hit that subscribe button right below this video, it will just make sure that YouTube will show you my videos when they're posted. So if you enjoy these videos, it makes me feel good to see that I have subscribers, encourages me to keep going also. So if you would like to, you can subscribe here for free. And also if you hit that little icon that looks like a bell, it will notify you when I have a new video come out here on YouTube. Okay, that's way more admin than I usually do at the beginning of a video, so I'm sorry, but let's get into the knitting. So first let me talk about what I am wearing today. This is the Radiate by Joji Locatelli, and this has come out of the archives. I knit this way back in 2018, and I wear it quite frequently. So I'm not sure if it's made an appearance on the channel before. I don't think it has, at least not officially, but I wear this sweater quite a lot. The yarn is the Kelbourne Woolens Scout, which is a DK weight, non-superwash wool. It is wonderfully soft. It does pill, I would say more than average. But I've knit 2 sweaters with this yarn and I really do like wearing it. So if you're willing to depill rather frequently, I could recommend the yarn, I suppose. It's nice for sensitive skin people. Like I have sensitive skin on the inside of my elbow. Is anybody else like that? So sometimes this area right here will get really irritated by just having wool on it and I have to wear like a long sleeve underneath. But this I have no problem with, if that tells you the softness level. So I use the charcoal heather colorway for the body. And then for the yoke, I used the natural white colorway and I held it together with a very, very light pink mohair silk. So you can see that there's a little bit of a halo just in the yoke. And I really like it. It was a very soft mohair. I can't remember the brand, maybe Regia? I can't remember. I will link my Ravelry project down below. And I really like this neck shaping in this sweater. You can see it's sort of it's lower in the front because of the short rows around the back of the neck. And I like that the short row shaping is incorporated in these ribs. And like all of Hohi's patterns, it's beautifully written from what I recall. I liked knitting it and I like wearing it. I did do a bracelet length sleeve and like most of my sweaters, it is cropped. Got it tucked in like usual. Let's see. There is its full length. It's actually not very cropped. There's my hip bone. So not too cropped, but I gotta tuck it in. So there we go. So that is what I'm wearing. I don't have any fully finished projects, but I do have one that is almost finished for you. So this is the Sundae Swirl Tank by Jessie Maed Designs, and I have finished the knitting on it. So this was the project that I took on tour with me when I was in Whistler and showed some of the this project as it was in progress in that vlog on Patreon. So you can see I've got all my ends still just trailing, and this pattern was a delight, I have to say. I used the Cascade Yarns Hampton in the Foxglove colorway, and I made no mods to this. I knit the second size, which is for 34 to a 38 inch bust, and mine is a 35. So theoretically this should fit with a couple inches of positive ease, I imagine, once it's blocked. And I kept it cropped as in the pattern photos. So it's top down. It would be quite easy to lengthen it if that is something that you wanted to do. The pattern is extremely clearly written, as are all of Jessie Maed's designs. It's line by line, and there's a checkbox for each line, right? So at first when I saw that, I was like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like following a pattern so closely like that. But it did make it extremely clear what was supposed to be happening in pattern during all of the increasing for the armhole and like the shaping across the top of the back. So reluctantly, I now maybe sort of like that. I liked it a little bit. It definitely kept things clearer. I do feel like it would complicate matters a little bit if you are trying to modify, and I wasn't. So luckily I was not, I didn't have to do any mental gymnastics, but with a pattern written out line by line like that, makes it slightly harder to figure out how to mod, in my opinion, at least for my brain. But just to explain the construction, so you start at the top of the back and you knit this back piece down until you are to this point under the arm. Do some nice shaping here in pattern. Then you come around to the front. I mean, it's a typical top-down construction. You pick up stitches here and here, knit down, do your shaping, join at the underarm, and knit down to your chosen length, right? And I did the split hem as written in the pattern. It's shorter on the front side and just slightly longer in the back, just by a couple of rows. Again, yeah, it would be very easy to lengthen this to your desire. I kept mine quite short. And you also do some ribbing for the neckline and the armholes. The designer really helpfully suggests, once you are joined in the round and you've knit a little bit of the body, to come back up and do the I keep wanting to call these hems, the ribbing on the neck and armholes before you decide on the total length of the garment. Because like with most knitted garments, once you add that neckline especially, it will sort of cinch the garment in a little bit, and then if you've bound off already, you might end up with a too short garment. So the fact that it's in the pattern as a recommendation is a nice touch, I think. The yarn I like so far. It was not uncomfortable to knit with. It is a mostly cotton and some percentage of linen. I think it's 70% cotton, 30% linen. And I did enjoy knitting with it. I used a wooden needle, and assuming it wears well, I would probably use this yarn again, although I think it is a US producer and I'm trying to buy Canadian yarn right now. But if you're in the US and you can get a hold of this yarn, I enjoyed knitting with it. We'll see how it wears, and then I'll make an actual recommendation. The other almost finished project I have is the Lillehammer sweater. So I'm not going to show it here because I'm doing the full part 2 of that project diary, but I just wanted you to know it is almost done. I just have to do the neckline and hopefully it'll fit. So watch out for part 2 of that project diary coming soon. For other works in progress, I have made some progress on my Olympia sweater by Cheryl Toy. This is the one that is for my husband Frank. So I think last time I had the back, 2 sleeves, and 1 front done. And now I have finished the other front, and I blocked everything to shape, and I seamed it. I basted it, actually. I didn't like fully seam it. I used, let's see, this sock yarn for a temporary basting stitch and seamed all of the parts together, sleeves, everything fully seamed, and put it on him. And I think the sleeves are just a hair too short. He said he liked them, but I think they're just a little bit too short. So my task now is to reblock. I'm just going to steam block them a little bit because basically I don't want to seam that inside sleeve seam and have it be too short. Because I think the way that this yarn blocked out, let me just show you the back piece. Here is the blocked back piece. And it doesn't look so different because I didn't block it out hard. Like I don't stretch my knitting when I'm blocking it. I just patted it into shape like you've seen me do every other time I've blocked anything. And the fabric is just super supple now. Like the cables, because I did not stretch it and block it out hard, the cables are still really like plump, you know? They have a lot of definition, and there's a lot of relief in those cables still. So that's a nice thing about not blocking hard. And the fabric is just really more supple now, which I hope you can see in the camera. So now my task is to find a similar colored sock yarn. So one thing that I do pretty consistently for worsted weight or DK weight garments or up is I don't use the actual yarn that I knit the garment with to seam it because it will add bulk. So what I'm planning to do is find another fingering weight yarn that's closer in color than this, and I will use that to seam. So again, this is the de Rerum Natura Gilliatt. All the information about this yarn will be down below. I'm still loving the yarn. I loved the way it blocked out. I did get a lot of width and length, actually. I really had to work to get it to be the shape I wanted. I think it will be very easy for this to stretch out too much if it gets stretched out when it's wet. you know? So I'm gonna have a hell of a time blocking this whole thing at the end, which I do think I will need to do because the collar has to be knit still. And it's like a 5-inch wide, big shawl collar that goes all the way around. So I don't think I can get away with just steam blocking that because it's going to have a different feel than this blocked fabric until it is fully wet blocked. So I'm just gonna have to be really careful not to let the whole thing like get waterlogged and then sag out of shape as I'm blocking it. This one, I am doing a project diary of this whole sweater from start to finish as well. So you will get to see how that blocking turns out. I am not worried about running out of yarn, thankfully, because I think I have 5 balls left. I did buy 1 additional ball beyond what the pattern said I would need. So I was expecting to end up with some additional yarn. It will be interesting to see how many balls of yarn that big shawl collar takes, because I imagine it will be 2 at least, but we'll see. I did finally find buttons for this. So I spent some time at the Fabricland in Nanaimo looking for buttons, and they just didn't have anything in the size and color family I needed that looked nice. You know, they sort of all looked plasticky. So I ordered these buttons on Etsy and they are beautiful. The camera is really not wanting to focus on them right now, so I will put in some footage, but they are made out of a material called Corozo. Has anyone ever heard of this? It's C-O-R-O-Z-O. I was not super familiar with this. Like I'd sort of seen the term, but I didn't look into it. And so it is apparently made out of the nut of a type of palm tree. So as far as what I can tell online, it appears to be a relatively eco-friendly material. It's not plastic, it's a renewable resource. It seems to be collected after the nuts have already fallen off the palm trees. So I hope that this is a nice material. If you know anything about them, I mean, I'm going to use them for the sweater because I have them, but if you know anything about this material, can you please put it in the comments down below, because I'm curious to know more. I ordered a number of these buttons because I figured that I was going to like them. I mean, they're all the same color, but I ordered probably 20 of them. And I think I need 10 for this garment. So I've got another set to use for something else basically. And they have a lot of beautiful natural variation in them, which I'm really interested in. I've seen just in the brief research I've done about what this material is, it's been referred to as like vegetable ivory, like as an ivory or a horn substitute if you are vegan or not wanting to use an animal product or anything like that. So I really like these buttons. I think they look beautiful on the garment, or against the yarn at least. So that is relatively close to being done. It's hard to say how long it will take me to knit that collar, but I will keep you updated. The last work in progress that I have to share with you today is the Riptide Slipover by Jennifer Shields Toland. The yarn I'm using for this is the Gathering Yarn one-shot series. This is the 75% cotton, 25% silk Riviera is the name of the base. And I am through the first skein. So I have 2 skeins, and here is how far I got with number 1. So as you can see, again, this is very similar in construction to the other top that I showed. It's top down, you start with the back piece, knit to the underarm, come back up, pick up the shoulders, knit down, etc. Differences are there is no binding of any sort on the armband for this pattern. You knit this ribbed border and then there's like a slip stitch edge. So I will not need to come back and finish this in any way. This is another one that I discuss in a little bit more detail on the Patreon vlog, the first Patreon vlog that's up right now. And so it is just this really simple top-down little garment, and it has got this quite intuitive lace pattern. It's a 4-row lace repeat. It's very easy to memorize, which I like. And now I am just knitting happily on the body. So I'm joined at the underarm, and you can see, let me get this organized a little bit. You can see that there's some broken rib at the underarm. So there's a little panel of broken rib on the side, which is another detail that I really like. And you can see at this underarm that the cast on that you use here is an alternating cable cast on, which I don't recall ever using it. It didn't feel totally unfamiliar, but basically you use a cable cast on, but you alternate knit and purl as you're doing the cast on, and then it creates this really nice finished edge. So that was a really delightful detail in this pattern that I will keep in mind in case I need this in the future. It looks really clean here compared to just a normal, all knit stitch cable cast on or like a backwards loop cast on. So I'm about to join that second skein, but before I do, I'm going to come up here and finish the neckline like we talked about for the other garment. So I want to make sure this neckline is finished before I'm trying to decide on the total length. And I think the pattern recommends a little bit of rib, which I'm not sure I will do. I think I might do like a faux rolled neck. I like that look. It will keep it sort of more simple at the neckline and not cover too much. Because I'm planning to wear this as just a top. I don't want to wear it as like a slip over another shirt. So one thing that I did do in terms of modification, so I made 2 mods. One was to lower the neckline just a little bit. So the original neckline was sort of more of a crew neck. And I think that that's a good look if you're wearing it over another shirt, but if you're just wearing it as a tank top, it might be a little like too close, you know what I mean? So I delayed doing this increase for the neckline just a couple of rows. And if you are going to do a mod like that, you need to watch out for how to incorporate that with not only these neckline increases, but you start your increases for the underarm as well. So if you wait too long, then you end up not being able to fit in all of your underarm increases. So it's just something to consider if you are lowering that neckline, is watching out for both of those sets of increases happening. The other modification that I made was to add just about a 1/2 inch right under the underarm. So I cast on a couple of additional stitches at the underarm. And the reason I did that is because I'm in between sizes for this pattern. So my bust in centimeters is 89 centimeters, and there's like an 89 and then a 99 in the pattern, and 99 I think was going to be too much. So this should result in just slightly bigger than 89 centimeter size, like, I don't know, 92 or so would be probably a good fit. So I'm going to do the neckline next and then proceed with the rest of the body. As far as upcoming projects, the other summer top that we had discussed earlier was the Hane by Kirsten Johnstone. So I have swatched for that. The original pattern, just to remind you, is this. And it calls for the Shibui Linen, which is discontinued, but I have had in my stash almost since this pattern came out, which was in 2013. I've had this in my stash for quite a long time. And here's the swatch. So you can see it's quite see-through, but I really like the fabric. It's, I wonder how this will be. I mean, obviously I'll have to wear a tank top or something underneath, but I think that I like this fabric despite it being quite see-through. It doesn't actually feel like it's too loose. You know, it's just the nature of the yarn is very see-through. It is a chainette, so that may have a little bit to do with it. So you can see it's quite light in construction. It's lightweight. It's an interesting yarn. I am bummed out that Shibui is not making yarn anymore because they had a lot of really cool yarns, but what are you gonna do? So I have my swatch. I like my gauge that I'm getting, which I think was the same as the pattern gauge, which is 23 stitches. So my quandary right now is that I am trying to decide whether I want to knit an entirely different body, because let me show you this. So this body of this sweater I think is actually knit flat and seamed, and I think the designer had explained that it was to stop the yarn from biasing, which linen tends to do. I don't know if a chainette will actually bias all that much, but like a regular linen definitely does. And so this top has this sort of ruched effect. And as you can see, it's quite long. And I'm just not sure about either one of those things. I think the thing that I really liked about this pattern, and the reason that I was drawn to it, is these sleeves, these funky sleeves. And you have the option of any of these sleeve combos. So I definitely want to do this one with one ruffle and one sleeve. My question is, do I just want to knit an entirely different body for the garment up until the bottom of the armhole, and then just make sure that I know how to do that ruffle, basically? I don't even need instructions for the sleeve, really, because I know how to do a set-in sleeve in the body of a garment. So I'm trying to decide what to do. If I want to, like right now I have a vision of just a plain body garment with like a folded hem. I will knit it from the bottom up, do a folded hem at the bottom, and just knit the body either straight or maybe slightly A-line, maybe a little cropped, and then just make sure that I'm at the right stitch count. I guess even the body stitch count doesn't matter. I would just need to make sure that I'm set up correctly for the armholes once I get there. That's what I'm debating right now, because I'm also not totally sold on the neckline. It looks a little bit like a boat neck, and that, again, I think it looks beautiful, but they tend to annoy me when I'm wearing them. So maybe I just would need to make sure that it will cover a bra strap. I just don't like, you know, I feel like showing a bra strap just makes things look a little messy. It interrupts the line of the neck and all of that. So yeah, I need to think about both of those things before I get started on this. The other project that I talked about last time was the long linen dress by Natalie Pellick. And I think that I am not going to do that anymore. Part of the issue was I have this Essayer Trio 2 yarn in the mixed dye lots, and dealing with that, there were many good suggestions on the last video, and that's less of a problem to me, actually. I don't necessarily mind dealing with helical knitting an entire dress. I feel like that would be a sort of an interesting challenge, but the more I look at the pattern, I don't know that I will really wear that type of dress anyway. In this color, especially, it might be a little sort of juvenile for me. And like, I'm a small person and I look short, like it's very obvious that I'm short, and wearing like this baby blue in a long dress, I just don't know. So I think I'm going to not do that project. And now I am looking for patterns that will hold this double. So according to Essayer's little write-up about this yarn on Ravelry, the yarn held double should result in about a 19 stitch gauge. So I have not swatched with it yet, but I would believe that to be true. Seems like holding this together would result around 19 stitches. So if you have any thoughts about patterns that are like around a 19 or 20 stitch gauge and about 1,000 yards total, that would be good in this. Let's see, it's a linen cotton lyocell blend. So plant fiber blend. I've chosen a number that I've saved in my Ravelry favorites that could work, but I'm interested to see what your opinions are. If there's any patterns that you can think of that would be good for this yarn, I'm all ears. If I don't come up with anything that I really want to make with that yarn, I will put it in my weaving yarn stash, because with that content, it should be machine washable, I imagine. And that would be a beautiful yarn for weaving. So it's not what I originally intended, but I will definitely use it for something. I did get a little bit of yarn on my trip. So when I was in Victoria, I went to the Beehive wool shop, and I also got some at a yarn shop in Vancouver. So for those upcoming projects, let me just show you. I've been wanting to make the Audrey and Unst vest by Gudrun Johnstone, and I didn't have quite the right yarn in the right color that I had in my mind. So when I was in Vancouver, I got this New Wave Fiber pearl yarn. You can see it's not the most inexpensive yarn, but it is locally, the wool is locally grown. I think they're actually on one of the other Gulf islands, maybe Pender Island. And I got 3 skeins of this actually, which I think is too many for the garment. Well, yardage wise, I don't know, it's hard to say. I'll probably use 2 and a little bit, I imagine, for the vest. I just really did not want to run out. I don't like running out of yarn or cutting it close when there is a cardigan band to be knit. I just really, because you have to decide on the length of the body, and then if you run out of yarn while you're trying to knit the band, it's like a whole thing. So it's fine. I bought 3 skeins. And so it's this beautiful natural color, and it looks like it's spun in Alberta. It's a combination of 85% BFL cross and 15% alpaca. And so I would expect this to be quite drapey and strong. I mean, the yarn, those are both long fibers. So I don't need this to be a particularly hard wearing garment, but I imagine it will be. And so the Audrey & Unst has a number of buttons down the front. I think I needed 6 buttons, and I ended up getting 10, but they're all mismatched buttons. So I will put a little video in here of the selection that I got. And that is the plan for this. So hopefully I will have that for the fall. I'm really interested to knit with this yarn because it feels very different than normal yarn. I mean, it's a farm yarn, you know, it's a local farm yarn. And those yarns tend to be a little bit more unique than what you would find in a normal yarn store. So it's always a nice experience knitting with something local. And that is my plan for these. The other yarn that I got on this trip, so this is from the Beehive Wool Shop down in Victoria, which is delightful. If you are ever in Victoria and you're looking for a yarn shop, go there. It has a beautiful selection, and also the people who work there are just delightful and helpful and know their stuff. So I bought this yarn. It's the Fleece Artist BFL 282/8. And it is really pretty, hand dyed in Nova Scotia. And there's good yardage in these skeins. So it's 125 grams and 500 meters, 546 yards. So I have 3 of these. And it was another situation where I needed more than 2, but I didn't quite need like quite that much, but I can always use this yarn for something else because it is lovely. So you can see, even though it's hand dyed, it is dyed in a relatively consistent way. Like this will definitely come out tonal in the garment, but I will plan to helical knit for sure. And I got these. I have been looking for yarn for this particular garment for like a couple years, and I have no idea why it's taken me so long to find the right thing. But I mean, I'm not in a hurry to buy yarn. Honestly, most of the time I'm trying to knit with what I already have. But I had this on my list for Rhinebeck shopping for some years ago. So it's been a couple years, but I would like to make the lace leaf sweater, which was a Brooklyn tweed pattern from a couple years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago. It's by Alejandra Graterol. I'll put the name down below. And it's just this very simple, beautiful lace yoke. And that's it. It's like a simple lace yoke and stockinette body. And I don't know why this thing has had sort of a grip on my mind for a couple years, but at any rate, that is what I'm going to do with this. So that pattern is for bottom-up construction, and I am not going to do that for an entire long body and long sleeves for just a plain stockinette body. My plan is to cast on right below the lace yoke and knit the yoke from the bottom up, and then I'll come back down and pick these stitches back up, or, you know, I'll do a provisional cast on, reattach my yarn, and then knit down for the length of the sleeves and body. So that's the plan for this. I also have 3 projects languishing that I need to finish. 2 of them are seamed projects. So one is the Neve cardigan by Emily Green, which you might remember from years ago. And the other one is the Belle pullover by Ann McCauley, which I knit sometime in the last 2 years probably. I have all the pieces. I used Harrisville Designs in like this beautiful blue. I think it's a Loden blue. It's like sort of a darker bluish green. And I have the pieces and I just haven't seamed it. So I had said some time ago that I was going to do a Q&A. So I never did it, right? I was going to seam some sweaters and do a Q&A at the same time, and I've not done that video yet, and I apologize because people had asked very good questions. So I'm going to go back to that video and dig up some of those questions, and we'll plan to answer them in a future video. So if you have any other questions that you would want to ask me in like a Q&A style video, please put them down below. I will go and look at both videos to assemble the most common questions and make sure that I can answer those for you. And the third project that I really want to finish is that Japanese pattern summer top that was like a combination of knit and crochet. I definitely still have that on my mind. I know exactly where it is. I know the project bag, where it's sitting and what state it's in. So I really want to finish that because that was a cool project. And I want to take a look at my Japanese knitting books again and maybe pick something else from in there to do in the fall. So that felt like it was quite a lot of information. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to anyone who decides to go over and join my Patreon. I am really looking forward to having you over there and doing some more of this vlog content for you. And yeah, very excited about what's to come. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of footage that I took at the beginning of the Navy Band tour. I was down in Victoria for a rehearsal, and then that afternoon went out to lunch, went to the yarn shop, and went to Butchart Gardens, which is insane. It's incredibly manicured. It's, I think, a national landmark of Canada. And my taste isn't super manicured gardens, but it's one of those things that's very impressive to see, like many full-time professional gardeners putting their effort into making this quite large landmark as beautiful as possible. So at the time of filming, it was late April for this, late April, early May, and the tulips are absolutely incredible. So there were no roses yet, but I did walk around the rose garden and it looked like that will probably be pretty epic in a couple of months. So I wouldn't mind going back to see that again. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.